Good morning and good afternoon, depending on wherever you at the time of this recording. This is episode 111 of the Restricted Zone podcast, and I'm with a good crew today. Kyrie, introduce yourself to the people, man.
Yo, what's going on, fellas? Let's put on a good episode for the people.
Yes, sir. And Chris, introduce yourself to the people out there, man.
It's the man, it's the myth, it's the legend. Your boy Breezy's in the house. Gonna
Please,
be a good one tonight.
let's get it, man. And listen, it's strictly basketball, nothing but basketball this episode. Man, I'm so excited to talk about this episode with you guys. There's a lot to talk about. But first, we're going to dive in. We're going to start off with the Sixers head coach, Nick Nurse. He's our head coach now. I love it. A lot of people will love it, ecstatic about it. I think he's going to do everything Doc Rivers didn't do and then some. He's got the pedigree. You know, he took the 2019 Toronto Raptors when Kawhi hit that lucky shot and crushed us. And you know, he definitely made some nice adjustments against it, especially on the defensive end. When we saw it against the Warriors in a couple of games, he full pressed them. He did a lot of adjustments throughout the series that it really shined as it really showed that he was an excellent coach. And the following year, when Kawhi Leonard left, they went 53 and 19, I believe. You know, without Kawhi Leonard, so it's like the guy's definitely established. He got a great pedigree. I'm excited for him to be our coach. Kyrie, just talk about it, man. Just what's your thoughts about him being the head coach for the Sixers, and how does he help them? And could he be the one to take us to a championship?
I honestly love it for you guys. I personally really like Nick Nurse as a coach. I really like what he did with that Toronto Raptors team. And I can see him having a lot of success with you guys too, especially since you pretty much have your guys' core intact. Well, of course, with Joel Embiid. We don't know what's going on with Harden this season. But I personally think you guys are better if you move off on them and try to go after somebody else, and
Absolutely.
try to dump Tobias's contract in the process of that. But either way, you still got a young Tyrese Maxey you guys can be excited about. And one thing I really like about Nick Nurse is his player development and the players that we've seen develop under him. Fred Van Vliet went from undrafted to the G League NBA champion and got himself paid. Um, OG Anunoby came in. He had some struggles. He was injured. Coming out of Louisville. He was a guy that was heavily wanted at the trade deadline this past season, and for good reason. He's a very good defender. Pascal Siakam, same thing, late round pick. Came to the G League and is an NBA champion and an All Star. So there's a lot of guys from that Toronto's Raptor era under Nick Nurse where they really went out and made a name. Norman Powell's another guy who went to the Clippers and got himself some money. He's got a good role there. Just a lot of guys came up. They found their niche and he played to their strengths. And even though this season, even last season wasn't like the best, the last few seasons weren't the best showings of what the Raptors could do. They still were somewhat competitive. They had spurts this season where they looked like they could have shot for a playing spot, but it just didn't really work out for them. Um, their team was very clunky this year with Scotty Barnes, OG, and Pascal on the floor together. It really didn't work out. You guys don't really have that much problem, whereas the problem with you guys is the lack of depth. I feel like where Toronto they had too much depth and didn't really know what to do with it. So I think with you guys, he could continue growing young players, especially a guy like Paul Reed that I really like. I uh, I think Nick Nurse can use his defensive instincts, his length, his athleticism, um, really well on that end of the floor, can make him a really good player. And I think he just keeps helping Embiid advance. I think he keeps helping Tyrese Maxey advance, but it's all about whether he can help the Sixers advance that past that second round. So that's going to be seen. I think the East coming up next season, depending on how everything shakes out in the free agency, is going to be a wild sauce because there's a lot of questions going on. But I really like the Nick Nurse hire. I think he's going to do a lot of good things there, Philly.
Man, and you know, definitely one of the things you touched on. That's what it all comes down to. Is he the guy that takes him over that second hump? We've always failed. We've come close. I mean, this year we came close. 2019 we came close. Uh, you know, it all comes down to him being the one. Can he take us over that final hump? And I think he's a guy that he can because unlike Doc, who never utilizes his bench, I always said we always, gave a lot of crap on the bench. I really feel like we had a bench. We just never utilized them. Right? We didn't utilize the pieces at least to the best of their abilities. Because
Huh? Run
yeah,
that by me again.
Yeah, y'all didn't really have much to
Montrez
work with.
Hero, Montrez Hero. We didn't use Corey Mines at all. I
What
mean,
were my hold on, wait. We're just gonna go down the list. So you said Montrezl. What was
Right.
he going to bring to the table?
Defense,
I
He
rebounding,
doesn't
give
play
Montrezl
defense.
Harrell
Montrezl does not play defense.
and then he's a solid, not a great offensive scorer, but he can give you some points if you need some.
Don't
Right?
I agree. I agree with the Montrezl Harrell. I think he should have got some
Like
more minutes in certain situations. Yeah.
I think Doc didn't really. So
Whoa.
Shea was kind of a
Whoa.
mixed bag. He had his games, but I feel like he was more suited to be playing with Maxey. And I just feel
I
like
mean,
Doc.
the only thing is he's got to be out there with another rim runner. Y'all didn't really have that. Y'all don't have anybody that can make up for his lack of height on the defensive end for real. And that's why he gets burnt down there so much because he gets left with a guy that's 6'11", and there's only so much he can do. I will give him that he's a good weak side defender. He's good on the help. He's really good when it comes to that and getting weak side blocks and stuff like that. But as a one-on-one defender, he gets burnt way too much, which is why Doc really didn't have him out there. But that goes to y'all depth. Y'all didn't have another rim runner that could kind of match those defensive inefficiencies that Trez had.
That's fair point. I think we got a lot of like Jaden McDaniels. He's got a lot of potential. I think he could be a great rotational player. Like I said, Nick Nurse utilizes. You don't like Jaden McDaniels?
His brother better than him. That's
Of
why
course, his
I
brother.
like his brother way better
Of
than him.
course, his brother's better than him. But wait,
But I'm looking at it as the point where with the one y'all, I always get them mixed up. But the one y'all have, I feel like he is what he is already. He's like a scrappy wing defender that's going to knock down some threes here and there. But he's not. He hasn't shown me to be a consistent 3-point shooter. Like especially in times y'all need him, he folded like a lot towards the end of the season in the playoffs for y'all.
I'm waiting to hear. I'm waiting to hear about this bench you keep talking about. That's what I'm
I,
waiting on
I
still.
think Jaden McDaniels, Shea Milton. You got Montrezl Harrell, Corey
What
Miles.
was Shake Milton? What was Shake Milton gonna do?
Well, great. Game 6, he was very disappointing, but Doc never gave him a chance to get into a rhythm. And
He
I feel
don't guard nobody either.
Yeah, he don't guard nobody, and his game kind of clashes with Maxey's game, where they both need the ball in their hands a lot. And they both like to get downhill. Shake likes to
And if
shoot a
Shake,
lot too. He's not
at
really an
least
off ball mover.
right,
okay.
at least Maxey will try to do something. Will at least impact the game if he's not scoring. If Shake
Exactly.
can't make his shot, he's not doing anything. The only person y'all had that was good on your bench was Anthony Melton. So what other bench are you talking about?
Well, those are the players that I feel like Nick Nurse under his tutelage, we'll see something different. I really do believe because he utilized every single player on the Raptors when they won the championship. He utilized all his guys. I think the Heat, when you're watching the Heat play, they utilize all their guys. I just think we've never utilized. Well, like you said, the bench. Okay, in terms of those guys, the bench is clearly the weakest out of those three I just said. But I feel like with Nick Nurse, he's definitely one of those guys. He's going to really be paying attention to some of these guys' personal development, like in terms of training camp, really watching these guys in practice. I just feel like Nick Nurse is just the right guy for us. And honestly speaking, I can't wait for him to start coaching. I think we're going to see a lot of changes defensively. I think Joel is probably going to have an even better season, possibly. I don't know if he really have a better season than what he had just now, but Nick Nurse was excited to coach him. And during the interview process, Joel seemed like he was really favorable. He liked them. So I think it's a good matchup between those two. But Chris, go ahead. Just give me your thoughts on Nick Nurse and what do you think about what he means for the Sixers and what kind of changes you think he may be able to bring for us. And could he bring us to the second round, possibly to the conference and finals?
I'm not gonna spend too long answering this question because one, I honestly don't care. To be frank with you guys, I really don't. But two, Kyrie basically already stated everything important about Nick Nurse. So the only question is this the coach to get y'all past the second round? And quite frankly, I don't care because as much as I don't like Doc, and even though it was not entirely his fault this year, he had some blame to it, but it wasn't entirely his fault. The
Yeah.
roster the roster that has been constructed is horrible, way too top heavy. So just because you bring in a new coach doesn't mean that the team is going to get any better. If the best player coming off your bench is Anthony Melton and Georges Niang, what are you accomplishing?
We got to wait and see.
And the thing is, do y'all have a draft pick this year?
I believe no, I don't. I believe
I don't think y'all got a draft pick this year.
no. I don't think no.
I'll check.
I may be wrong about that. But I really think no. I don't think we did because we lost it to the tampering because of PJ Tucker. So no, I don't think. No.
Right.
Here's a good one. You know who y'all need right now? Who y'all really miss? Isaiah
Ooh.
Joe. He could have helped.
Sure it could.
Isaiah Joe definitely could help right now. One of the top
Good.
3-point shooters in the league.
We, man.
Or you know what else could have helped? Not trading away Mikal Bridges. At this point, I just think it's y'all roster. I mean,
Well,
the
see,
coach is part of the pod, but it's mainly y'all roster.
but then that's the thing. Then it comes we drafted right. We never kept the young pieces, and obviously, and look, we kept Zaire Smith over Mikal Bridges. I mean, and he's not even in the league anymore. We don't even know what he's doing at this point. But
Oh boy, that's some allergy.
crazy. Crazy. You can't make it up. Like, I don't know what he's doing right now. But honestly speaking, like I said, I'm excited for Nick Nurse to be our coach. I think we might finally get over the hump with this guy. We got to wait and see what the offseason looks like in terms of the roster development, whether James Harden leaves or not, which I don't really care for James Harden, to be honest with you. I prefer, actually, if he really left, because he doesn't deserve any type of money he demanded. But then that leaves us with our point guard.
This is what I was trying to get to, though, when I asked you about the draft pick. Like, what I don't see y'all really doing too much in free agency neither, because y'all have a lot of money tied up in a lot of guys. So where, kind of like Chris said, Nick Nurse might be a good coach for y'all, but it's about what he has out there to play. So I don't. How do you suppose that they go about free agency this year and added on those guys? Like I said, I think Tobias Harris got to go.
Well, I mean, listen, we got to see what
they've been trying for 3 years. He ain't going nowhere. Ain't nobody taking on that $39 million he making. He's gonna stay on the Sixers, and they're gonna re-sign him the following season.
Well, Chris, we got till June, July, and August, sir. So we So never say never. Let's see what happens first.
Y'all have been trying to trade him for 3 years. There's a reason why nobody wants him.
Very much. I like to keep the faith. Let me keep the faith.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I know your team in the finals now, so you're ecstatic. But we'll be there soon, Chris. At some point.
That was funny. You're a comedian. That was funny.
All right. We're not about to do this. Now, with that being said, we move on to the next topic. Listen, man, the Boston Celtics got a lot of decisions on their hand, and it's kind of funny because it was a lot of decisions back in our hand when it came to Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons, and we made a wrong decision there, and that altered our fate forever. The Celtics, man, listen, Jaylen Brown is up for 202. How much is he up for? The Supermax, he's up for like 290 million.
I think it was 290 or 280, something like that.
290, and man. First of all, do you think Jaylen Brown is worth that type of money? Consider it, and let's not be prisoner of the moments. Let's just look at his overall how he developed from when he came into the league when he wasn't even a scorer. He was just strictly a defender, and then he turned himself into a scorer. Is he worth that money, you the Celtics, or do you try to trade him and see what you can get for him?
I mean, if you're the Celtics, it's all about how much you value that core, Tatum and Brown, and whether you think they can get you a championship or multiple championships sometime down the line. You got to really sit hard and think about that, and think about the other things you got going around that roster as far as your coaching situation with Joe Mazzulla. And yeah, I mean, I personally think the Celtics do value him that much, and I think I definitely think that they give it to him. But I see a lot of situations where they could Jaylen Brown can ask for a trade, and I see a lot of teams honestly paying him that much money or seeing him worth that much money to turn their franchise around. Like when I think of a team like the Atlanta Hawks, that just kind of need a guy, and they kind of been stuck in mediocrity these past couple of years.
But the Hawks,
I think a guy like
give up a lot.
That's even if to be frank, even if you think they're overpaying, as a Hawks fan or as a fan in general, if you think that's overpaid for Jaylen Brown, you got to. It's the NBA. You got to take chances. We've seen guys get underpaid in a workout. We've seen guys get overpaid in a workout. So I think Jaylen does get in that ballpark. But if it's not the Celtics, I see it a lot of teams. Like I mentioned, the Hawks. I think the Rockets are in play. And I think the Memphis Grizzlies are in play too. I think those are teams that can value him and give him that much money if the Celtics decide not to.
Okay. All right, that's some nice points, Chris. Just give me your perspective on what the Celtics should do with Jaylen Brown. Should they give him the max super max deal, or maybe it's time to trade him and see what you could get back for him? Maybe another star. Maybe they trade to Portland, talk to Portland, see if they trying to fish out Dame. Probably not, but try your luck and see where
Another
that
team.
goes.
Yeah.
You know, because just give me your thoughts, Chris.
They should do both. I would entertain trade talks and think about re-signing him because as much as a fan of Jaylen Brown and as terrible as he played against the Heat,
Mm.
he is worth a max deal. Now,
Too nice.
fortunately for him, he played well enough this year to earn himself a super max. But again, like Kyrie said, it's very difficult, and that's a big risk to just have two players over your team making basically over $300 million. So that
Mhm.
leaves not a lot of room for the rest of the team to work with. Um,
True. That's true.
And not to cut you
personally,
off, Chris, but that definitely plays a long way when you think of the Celtics. And in my opinion, you guys can chime in or not, but I think they're like top to bottom, like roster, like the roster pound for pound had the deepest roster in the league. And like Chris said, you paying two guys 300 mil. What happens to the guys like Brogdon who came up big in these playoffs? Derek White who came up big in these playoffs. Robert Williams who's kind of working his way back from injury, but he has a spot on this team too. Like certain guys like Marcus Smart, like certain guys like that are integral to this team. Like you got to worry about them too because they definitely make this roster just as much as Tatum and Brown do.
I see it.
what I would do is if I was a Celtics is, and I feel like even in the end, part of me thinks that Jaylen Brown's going to want to leave because I think he wants, even though I feel like he loves Boston, he likes playing with Tatum. He also, I think, is out to prove that he can be a number one guy. So he
Hmm.
might want to leave just to prove his point. I can't think of a better situation right now, and I don't know if the trade details are going to work out that I had played out in my head, but I do say Portland to try to get Damian Lillard over. Because what we saw from that Celtics Heat series is, as much as Boston loves Marcus Smart, he is not a point guard, and they need one
Hmm.
badly. They
Nah.
need a point guard
Exactly.
badly. So
Exactly.
why not go after the best point guard? Well, not the best, but one of the best point guards out there, who's still in his prime, to try to compete. You could send Jaylen Brown and I would say Robert Williams and a couple draft picks to the Blazers, and in return they give you Dame Lillard and Yusuf Nurkic. Now you don't have to keep Nurkic; you just get a big back in return, but you can pick somebody up like a JaVale McGee, who's going to be a free agent this summer because the Mavericks aren't going to bring him back. Like you can find ways to fill the void of a Robert Williams. It's very rare to find a trade to get Damian Lillard in return. And if you're a Celtics fan, you should want to go all in for Damian Lillard or for a sidekick. Like, think about how they feel right now that Kevin Durant didn't come to Boston. They could have traded Jaylen Brown or something to Brooklyn and got Kevin Durant in return. Everybody's happy. Jaylen Brown's in the spot where he can be a number one option. Kevin Durant's on a championship contending team. Everybody's happy in the end. They passed on that, and they've seen this core they've had fall short multiple times. Let Jalen Brown go prove he could be a number one option somewhere. Go ahead. Let him do that.
I agree.
And the Celtics, I guess in the Celtics' heart, they believe Tatum is the real superstar. But man, he's such a he gets cold, man. When he's cold, he's cold. But when he's
Yeah,
hot, he gave us 51. Gave us that
Hmm.
they
big word.
they both had a very inconsistent playoff run. Now I know probably overall stats they do look good, but
Right.
looking at it game by game, they had a very inconsistent run.
And you could tell that you could tell last series between the Heat and the Celtics that the Heat like started to figure out Jaylen Brown. And it's what we've been saying for years though. His handle's pretty
Man,
sloppy. He's not
yeah.
a good passer. And I don't know what it is, but it's like he's always falling down and stumbling when he's trying to make a drive or when he's like accelerating past guys.
And he
And
can't.
even I saw I think it was on the Lebatard show. Caleb Martin even said like yeah like the game plan was to force him left like and and it threw me for one because I thought like it confused me because I thought Boston had Jimmy figured out for a while. And Jimmy showed to be able to make those adjustments, even when his shot wasn't falling. He showed to be able to impact the game in other ways, as far as rebounding, defending, and facilitating. Jaylen Brown's got the defending part like down pat, and he's a pretty good rebounder from that wing position. But it comes down to playmaking and ball handling from him. And that really got exposed when we're talking about him becoming a number one option and becoming like the guy for a team, a face of a franchise. That's one part of his game where he's going to have to improve tremendously because he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot more. And 9 times out of 10, he's not going to have a guy at Tatum's caliber on his side to kind of help bail him out. Even though he helped bail Tatum out too, yeah, a lot. But you have a guy like Tatum who's an elite scorer in his league who give you 30 any night that can take the ball and is a very good ball handler. So that's another good point. That's another good thing Jaylen Brown we're going to have to see work on when we're talking about him possibly becoming the number one guy.
All right. Okay. That's fair. So the Boston Celtics find themselves in a tricky situation, man. And hopefully they don't make the wrong decision like we did. But it's this could really turn out in so many different ways. You just got to leave it up to management and Phil, and you would think that they would know what to do. I mean, Brad Stevens, maybe Danny Ainge probably would have had a solution by now. Maybe, but hopefully Brad Stevens, definitely could get this figured out. So, Chris, you want anything else before we move on to the next topic? Your favorite topic of it all?
I was just gonna say, I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I wouldn't mind seeing the backcourt of Anthony Simons and Jaylen Brown. That's something you can work with.
I think that would be nice, but when we think about that, though, I'm just thinking the Blazers got the third pick. Where do y'all think that comes into play?
So, Kyrie, that's what I'm saying. So it would depend who the Hornets draft and with the second pick. It would entirely it would have to depend on who the Hornets draft with the second pick. It would have to depend.
So you think if they pick Scoop?
So this is what I'm saying. If the Hornets take Brandon Miller, which is starting to look like day by day, it might be the Hornets that kind of lead because Scott and Ball, as much as we talked about it during the episode, but it just doesn't make sense. Now that I'm really looking at it again, maybe it could work out, but Brandon Miller just fits the Hornets more. Now, if Scoot falls down to number 3, man, you can't pass Scoot up. You just can't.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's like if you draft them, you can't have them just be playing backup between Simmons and Damian Lillard. So at that point,
but they're looking to trade the pick, though.
They could trade the pick too, but I don't know. If I'm the Blazers, man, if Scoot falls to number 3, you gotta take him. And then it's just, hey, who knows what the Blazers could do, Chris? Go ahead, Chris. It's a tough situation.
Listen, I don't care about the Blazers either. They'll figure it out. I suggest they blow it up and start over. Dave's great dog, but force him out of Portland at this point. Dude, let him go try to win a championship somewhere, and then just rebuild. You got Anthony Simons. He's somebody you can build around. Just draft. Yeah, shade is sharp. If they could possibly have Scoot Henderson, so they got back over Anthony Simons and Scoot. What they both under 22?
Yeah, backup guard 2. Yeah, that's
let it develop. That's true. That's it. Give it a day. Start over.
You could play Shaden at the 3. Shaden 6'7", so you could put him at the 3. Portland has Matisse Thybulle and Cam Reddish, I believe, too.
Well, in that case, Jaylen Brown will be playing at 3 with Scoot and in the backcourt. I honestly like that.
Yeah, but then the Celtics could get those people, so they could probably get they could probably get Matisse Thybulle in exchange for that, because then you would be overcrowded at the 3 with Portland. Way overcrowded.
Yeah, it'd be a lot. It'll be a lot of people in there flying through there.
So it had to move some stuff. Yeah.
I did have one last question on this topic, though. I just wanted to get your opinions or what y'all think happens with Mazzulla. Do y'all think Boston tries to move on for him? Do you think he's shown enough this season as a one-year coach that he can keep his job, or what y'all think?
Well, considering that he just got thrown into it like a week before, and he actually led them to being the second seed, I mean, that kind of... Now, granted, he was definitely flawed. It showed he was, as a rookie coach, he didn't make certain timeouts at certain times. He didn't make certain adjustments, and it was time to make certain adjustments. He really didn't even try to play both his big men until later on inside the series against the Heat. And then you saw the 3 assistants. They all left. They bolted to the Rockets. So,
was that official too?
Yeah, they all left the Celtics. They all went to go to the Rockets for
I didn't know I was official yet.
Yeah. Well, they bolted. So who the Celtics bring in, I think plays a big part too. But if I'm the Celtics, I don't know. I'm not
I mean,
trying to.
yeah, I only ask that because there's still some coaches out there like that got like more experience. Like you think of like a Monty, like he's out there. Like even like a Dwayne Casey. I don't know. Like there's some guys out there. But me
Dwayne Casey
personally,
not
I say again.
Dwayne Casey not leaving the Pistons. He just gave up. You got 2 jobs in the office. I think he's works in the front office now.
I think the Pistons are really. I thought Pistons was looking at Monty Williams.
Oh,
I
got you.
saw a report that they was trying to offer. They was trying to be aggressive again. Monty Williams to be the coach for the Pistons. Now,
I
how
saw that too. I didn't
I,
know what to think of that. If I'm Monty, I would take that.
I
Honestly, I
would
would like
take
that
it
for
too.
Monty.
Oh yeah, I
They
would
got a
take.
lot. Yeah, but I I I can definitely see Monty wanting the Boston job too. Like
Uh, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I feel like they're gonna stick with Joe Mazzulla. I don't see. I mean, obviously, yeah, he had flaws as a rookie coach, but at the end of the day, the team was what 1 game away from the finals, even though it was a very bumpy road to get there. They're still 1 win away for rookie
yeah,
coach, so it's not like they didn't live up to their potential. Give him another year, like Colin said. He kind of got thrown to the wolves a week before the year started. He got thrusted into a job that he's had no prior experience for. So I mean, for what he did as a rookie head coach, I don't see why just give him another chance. I mean, you can still have interviews with the other head coach or free agent head coaches out there that are available, like Amadi Williams, Mike D'Antoni, even though they shouldn't pick him, and guys like that. But I
yeah,
mean, I don't think he had a bad year.
Now,
yeah. No,
I
I don't
would
think he had a bad year either.
no. I was now had he had got swept. Now he probably would have got fired, right? Regardless of how, because you can't just go out like that. But it's the fact that he took it to Game 7, which I think
Hmm.
gives him a little safe haven, a little cushion, to say, hey, you know what, let's bring him back another year.
Yeah, and through like going down 3-0, then coming
Right.
back and winning 3 straight games. I mean,
All
that showed a lot of resilience. And even just the way like he talks like in his interviews, he talks to guys on the bench and stuff. I really like the way he motivates guys and like kind of brings guys into the moment and at the same time keeps them calm and keeps them composed. Even
right.
though we seen it not work out and we seen things fall apart a lot during these playoffs in certain aspects. But even throughout the regular season, just the way he's engaged, that's his intensity. Like that's something I personally really like in a head coach, and I could definitely see the Celtics holding on to him. I just thought I threw the question out there because I mean we all heard it after going down 3. There was talk like, oh, he on the hot seat, he might get fired, and it was a lot of good coaches out on the market before Nick Nurse took the Sixers job, and I just thought it might be interesting. Maybe they just move him to like lead assistant or something to get it and bring a newer coach in. I just felt like they had a lot of things they could have possibly did.
And like I said, I think the Celtics should run it back. I think they'll run it back with him. Probably would have. This time he'll probably get to hand pick his own assistants and formulate his own offensive schemes, his own, just his own playbook. Because he was just
Right.
running he was just running with the previous coach's playbook. He was just running with it to a T. He didn't
Hmm.
have any his own offensive input. So I like to see what he does with his own, with his own group of assistants that he may have a say in and choosing. And
Yeah.
then we'll see what goes on with the Celtics roster moving forward this offseason. But hey, man, they got a lot of tough decisions. It's not like the Sixers wasn't in that same position 3 years back. So
Right.
now, with that being said, we move on to the next topic. Man, NBA Finals, man. And we talked about this a lot. The Nuggets and the Heat.
Talk
And
your stuff, Chris.
talk your stuff, Chris. But wait, before Chris goes off, it gets a little crazy. Uh, I think this is probably basketball wise, probably gonna be one of the best NBA finals in the past couple of years, probably since 2016. Because it's just gonna be competitive basketball. We'll see Jokic.
Wait. You acting like the last couple of finals that haven't been good.
Nuggets and Heat.
I
Oh yeah,
mean,
that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Celtics Warriors was good, and
Celtics were
So were Suns Bucks.
Some
You talking
Bucks was
like
good
Suns
too.
and Bucks were. Suns and Bucks.
you making it seem like every
Lakers Heat was really good too. I enjoyed
in the
watching that
bubble.
series. Sure.
Right? What is he talking about? That's what I'm trying to figure out. He's
Well,
talking about the
me
last good
personally,
final since 2016.
yeah, 2016 to me. Well, this is just from my personal perspective. But you brought up some good finals too. But I just felt like, in terms of excitement, being genuinely excited, me personally, this is the finals that I'm genuinely excited about. I think it's going to
That's
be.
shocking That's shocking coming from you. That's very shocking.
What's shocking about it?
This is like finals you're excited to see. Nobody thought either of these two teams were going to be here.
I know
People
that's
were
exciting. It's unpredictable.
okay.
Me personally, I feel the same way. That's why I'm excited to see it, just because,
Unpredictable.
like, yeah, it wasn't like from like 2016 to 2018 or 2015 to 2018 when we knew it was just going to be the Cavs and the Warriors, or just we knew the Warriors were going to be in it every time. Like I honestly like had like high hopes and really thought Denver could make it to the finals this year. But as far as Miami, not at all.
Nah, Miami weren't even supposed to be in. And that's the crazy part. And they clawed their way all the way to the top. Man, if Jimmy wins this finals, his legacy, man, is just crazy at that point. But Jokic, if he wins this NBA championship, he's certified big man. You know, no one's really competing with him as best big
He was
man.
already
He already
certified
is.
big man.
He already
Yo,
is.
stop.
All
Yo,
right.
we are not going to keep this conversation going. The debate is over. Stop it.
Colin, you honestly need to tell him to mail that MVP over to the
What?
rightful
I
owner
didn't
for real.
say that. I just said that the debate. Some people still argue that Joel innocent, and that's fine.
Bro,
Still argue
what?
going on, but
Yeah, and
I
whoever
think
arguing that right
Jokic.
now need to stop talking.
I think Jokic is the better center, but it's still debates going on because they want to bring up Joel had a LCL injury, and his injury hampered him a lot. You
God.
pick and
When
choose.
isn't he hurt?
You pick and choose. Pick and
When
choose.
isn't he hurt at this point? No. We're not doing this. We are not. No. We are not doing this. Kyrie, I brought up a stat a couple of episodes ago where I talked about how Joel Embiid was dropping 30 points in back-to-back regular seasons. But when it came to the playoffs, he dropped 30 points 4 times out of what? What? How many games did he play? 13 games? Mind you. In those games, he had 15 points in the game 7, which is terrible. He got outscored by Nick Claxton on one occasion.
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen? So why would we continue this debate? Not only that though, how many times did he get 10 rebounds? He be getting single-digit rebounds as the biggest player on the court. Can we stop?
And not only that, I'll just add this one because Chris has knocked him out for the count. I'm just adding these my 2 cents in. Joel Embiid is the first MVP ever to never advance past the second round into the conference finals.
Oof. Oof.
And and on top of that, I can fully say I've never seen Joel Embiid dominate a playoff series. I've never seen Joel dominate a playoff series.
Johnny had to give us a few words in that one. Oh, Johnny's not here, but
Well, he's supposed to join in, but hey,
he could.
I'm just saying how I never seen Joel dominate a playoff series. That's why when it comes to this conversation, if you compare season by season numbers, that's cool. But we're talking about overall impact on a player's team, and they've been on that thing. They've both been on their respective teams for the same amount of time. They both were drafted in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. And granted, Joel missed his first 2 seasons,
First 2 seasons.
but still, and when it comes down to when the Sixers started being competitive and the Nuggets started being competitive, Nikola Jokic, I feel like was just simply better at leading his team and was just simply better at stepping up to the moment and leading his guys through tough moments and tough playoff situations. Whereas Joel Embiid, it seems like every April he just gasses out. He gasses out. He's like chugging up the floor. He's barely running, and it honestly gets annoying to see, like season in and season out, because you get all hype, especially being in the city, you get all hype about hearing like the Sixers in the playoffs, and Joel Embiid comes in and plays like the playoffs don't really mean too much for him. Like, and yeah, and like Chris said, it always comes down to he was hurt. He was hurt. But meanwhile, Jokic, it looks like if you've seen him on the street, you never thought he played basketball a day in his life if it weren't for him being 7 foot. But he keeps himself in tremendous shape, and he's never injured. He's always available. Availability is the best ability. Availability is the best ability. And from, like I said, from their time spans, since they both entered the league and both had their teams respectively competing, Jokic has simply been just a far better player and a more valuable player, in my opinion. That's why, like, I couldn't really get when Embiid won an MVP this season, bro. I couldn't get with it. I couldn't get with it.
He was cool to MVP. It was cool. I'm just tired of this debate in general. Like,
It's
I
still
was, remember,
reaching on, man.
Colin, no. I feel like it's just you being you right now.
No, it's coworker. I got a coworker. He still believes Joel is better than Jokic. He just said
Nikola Jokic is averaging, if not over, damn near a 30-point triple-double in the playoffs. Can we stop? Not to
I'm
mention
with
he
you.
shooting over 50% from the field.
I'm with
He's
you that
catching efficient 30.
I certainly do. I'm with you in that. I've been Joel arguing this, but I told you I conceded back in the group chat. I say, yeah, Jokic is the better player, but it's still a debate. I'm just letting you know it's still a debate. People still have debates about this, whether you believe it or not. But with that being said,
I bet they do.
Chris, give the finals predictions. Who you have winning, why, and who's the X factor for them winning and carrying the team over?
Who do I have winning? Oh, come on now. Jokic getting his ring. Jokic is getting his ring. Like, it's just that simple. We gonna talk about X factors. It's the same X factors that I've been saying all playoffs. Bruce Brown, he's got to be a spark plug off the bench. Otto Porter, Michael Porter Jr. You got to make threes. They have a lot of. Yes, I know I made that mistake. Michael Porter Jr. has to shoot efficiently again. Miami has a lot of perimeter defense and a lot of wing defenders, kind of like the Nuggets have. So you have to be able to make open shots when you get them. And Aaron Gordon, he's probably going to be tasked with guarding Jimmy Butler. Now, we see what playoff Jimmy can do. I've seen playoff Jimmy in a slump. Aaron Gordon, keep him in that slump. The last thing I need to see is Jimmy Butler just willing his team to victory by dropping 40 and 50 points, which I know he's capable of. Outside of that, I'm very confident though. It feels like it's weird because I feel like this is a David versus Goliath matchup in different and similar ways, but different aspects of both teams. I feel like for the Nuggets, it's David versus Goliath because even as the number one team ranked as the number one team throughout the year in the Western Conference, being the number one seed in the playoffs and advancing to the finals, a lot of people assumed that they were going to lose in the second round of the conference finals to a team like the Clippers if they made it that far, the Suns, the Lakers. They did not expect them to win. The Warriors, I didn't say that team. They didn't expect them to win. Well, so they're out to prove that we're legit. We're here. We're here, and we're going to be here for a while. They're out to prove that. But we look at it towards the Heat. They're kind of the David situation because we all wrote them up. We didn't think they were going to make the playoffs, and lo and behold, this is the first AC since the Knicks in '99 to make it to the NBA Finals. So both teams, in their own perspective, had David versus Goliath aspects going into this thing. Personally, I feel like it's going to be the Nuggets in 6. It's going to be beautiful to see. And Colin, when that happens, if that happens, but when, I'm going to say when because I'm confident. You're going to hate me. You are going to hate me. I promise you that.
Talk your stuff, man. Chest out. Go ahead, grab the scar.
But I will say this. As a consolation prize, if the Nuggets don't win, I'll be upset, but not that upset. And I'm going to tell you why. Just envision this, because it just sounds so beautiful in my head. And Jonah, whenever you listen to this is the answer to that question that you asked me earlier. As a Sixers fan, just picture an image of Jimmy Butler with the NBA Finals trophy in one hand, the Finals MVP in the other hand, a big cigar in his mouth with a big ass smirk on his face, talking about what now? What does that? I would want to put that on a T-shirt and just mail it to every Philadelphia Sixers fan out here.
Y'all chose Tobias over me. That's what he said on the stage.
And you could put that on the back of the shirt. Tobias Harris over me, bro. That shirt is money.
That's money. Yeah.
That shirt is money. If he wins the finals, Hemi Buckets clothing line, I need you to make that shirt. Put that picture on it. Put that code on the back of it and send me about 4 or 5 pairs, please.
Kyrie, I think you got notification too. I think he started to trademark that.
He did. He got that Hemi Buckets trademark. Yo, Chris, that shirt you designed, bro. If you don't do it, we gotta do that somehow. We gotta collab with you somehow. Like that shirt fire. I'll definitely wear that job.
Kyrie, this guy, sorry, we gotta collab with him. All right, man. Listen.
Bro, he said he chose a bias over me on the back. Hell yeah, I'm wearing that.
Nah, man, that's be one of infamous type of Oof, I don't want to be on that type of history. Kyrie, final predictions. Who do you have?
Hold on, Kyrie. Before you answer, Colin, I gotta get your thoughts on that. Just imagine that. How would you feel? How would you feel?
What else happened?
Philadelphia Sixers fan out there, how would you feel? I don't care if you DM me, comment under the show. I don't care how you get back in touch with me. But just tell me, how would you feel if that was to happen?
Honestly, we'd have to look at management and say, can we fire these guys now? That'd be the first step. But hey, honestly speaking, what happened?
Another process.
Listen, what else happened? Look, I've experienced so many emotions over the past 3-4 years with the Sixers, man. I don't know what emotion could honestly go through me at this point, especially after this season in particular. I would just say I would be happy for Jimmy Butler. In all honesty, I would genuinely be happy for Jimmy Butler. But man, we would be on the wrong side of history. It's one of the most dumbest signings, off-season moves we could have done in NBA history. That'd probably be.
I mean, y'all already are, because Jimmy Butler's been to the conference finals 3 times since he left Philadelphia. So y'all already are on the wrong side of history.
Ah, man. Well, it's not. It's not at the top. If he wins, we damn near.
It's bad. It's bad enough. It don't gotta get no worse. It's bad enough. It don't gotta get no worse.
You think so or nah? Because it's like in terms of that, like that'd be one of the most.
Like, it already is.
If you're looking at it, you just gotta look at the money y'all paying Tobias. Like forget the whole Jimmy thing. Pull up Basketball Reference and look at the money y'all paying Tobias.
Oof, man,
that's enough to be mad at.
That is, we pay him like
that was supposed to go to Jimmy Butler.
That's crazy.
And y'all gave it to Tobias.
To put up 16 points a game.
But Jimmy Butler couldn't. He didn't want to play with Ben Simmons anymore. So it was that factor too. Ben Simmons was at the time.
Timeouts. No, because he's talked about it on JJ Redick's podcast why he left the Heat. It had nothing to do with Ben Simmons and absolutely nothing to do with the roster construction itself. It's because management said that if they bring Jimmy Butler back, they had to figure out ways to control him. And Jimmy Butler said, "Y'all can't control me. I want out." That's why he left. He said that himself.
That stings even more. Man, Kyrie.
That stings even more.
That stings even more. I would listen. If Jimmy wins it, I'll definitely be happy for him because he deserves it. This is one of the most. You look at his story, from when he was on the Bulls, he made some winning plays on the Bulls. Then he's just elevated his game every single year since he's been in the league. He was the last pick in the first round, and like I said, I love to see Jimmy Butler win a title. In all honesty, I think that'd be one of the greatest storylines ever. The Heat coming back and doing that.
It'll be a great story either way. So I'm happy either way. But let's go Denver.
Yeah,
come on, baby.
But I will say Denver in 7 because I think that he's gonna fight. I say Denver in 7, but I think that he's gonna push it to the utmost limit, in my opinion. But Kyrie, just give me your thoughts. Who do you have winning? Why? And who's the X factor that you think will push them over that hump to get to that title?
So I got Denver at 6-2. I agree with Chris. I think Denver wins because one, I don't think Bam, and even though he's not going to be playing him one-on-one much because Miami plays his zone, I still don't think that team physically can deal with Nikola Jokic on that glass. And I've seen it a little in the Knicks series and even in this series too, where if you give Miami fits on the glass because that's where their bread and butter is, getting rebounds, especially with guys like Kevin Love, Bam, Jimmy likes to rebound. They're a good rebounding team, and when they feel like it can push the offense, but they really like playing things at their pace, and they started off like with controlling the glass. And I just simply don't see you doing that with a guy like Jokic, who's always first to the ball. He does a great job of making contact first as the box out man and being in position to get the ball and just having such a nose for it and knowing where it's coming off at. Being able to tip it up 1, 2, 3 times, and then before getting it and deciding whether he wants to put it back up or pass it out. He can kill you with the outlet passes. I mean, it's just too many ways he can kill you on the glass alone that I don't think Miami has any way they can really neutralize that. And another thing is I just don't think Miami's shooting I don't think and I've been saying this like the whole playoffs road for real, because Miami's really been surprising me. I've said this during the season, during the series they played us. Said this during this last series, but I don't think their shooting is going to keep being as efficient as it has been. But I got to my half for the guys. Caleb Martin's been a damn problem. Duncan Robinson's finally stepped up, and I think he had a couple 20-point games last series. He's been shooting the ball efficiently. Kyle Lowry has a good game. So they have a lot of they have a lot of perimeter shooting which they rely on. But I don't think that's going to be as consistent, especially where you have guys like KCP and Bruce Brown that are very good at chasing guys off of ball screens, running out after guys and contested shots, and then again turning those into points because they're such great leak out guys. And once Jokic gets the rebound, his head's already looking down court. He's passing it. So I just think it's too many intricacies of Jokic's game where Miami's not going to really be too adept at defending. I think they're going to have some success in a lot of ways, like having Bam attack that middle of Denver zone where Jokic kind of stands in the middle of. They had Anthony Davis doing it. They had Rui Hachimura doing it. I think Bam has some success there, but overall, I think he becomes obsolete this series because Jokic he's just so much to handle. But I think as far as the X factor, I think it is going to be Aaron Gordon, which Chris mentioned, because I believe he's going to be guarding Jimmy Butler too, because he's got that size, he's got that perimeter ability, and he has that verticality to be able to jump at the rim and meet Jimmy Butler at the rim. But they got to do something. They got to do something, and I'm pretty sure they will, because Denver's a pretty good team at adjusting and noticing certain things about players. And one thing that Boston noticed about Jimmy, or kind of, I guess, dialed in on with Jimmy, was staying down at his pump fakes. If you look at that last game, they weren't going for any of his pump fakes. That's how Robert Williams kept blocking his shot, because he was getting that timing down. A guy like Aaron Gordon, he stays down at his pump fake. He has the springs and that wingspan and that leaping ability to go up and block shots and make shots more difficult for him than they already are. And he's a tough shot maker. But if you can make him tougher, you have guys like I said, Bruce Brown, KCP running at him, making those shots tougher. It's going to be like the few games they dropped in Boston where he wasn't really doing much. He was putting up 14 points, 10 points. I see a lot of games were going like that for Jimmy, where they just have too much that they're throwing at him, and they figured out a lot of key parts of his game, such as, like I mentioned, his pump fake, his spin and those pivots. They're staying down on those and not biting on those, and they're not creating those opportunities for him to make passes or to get flip shots up in the paint. So I think I think the Nuggets have a lot of key players and key defenders that can neutralize a lot of Miami's offense. And another thing that concerns me is that Miami keeps a lot of their games really low scoring. Like if you look at these past games, a lot of them barely touched 100. If they did, they were 110 if anything. But a lot of them were in the high 90s and stuff like that. And the Nuggets are a high scoring team. They're a team that likes to get out and run. Jamal Murray can get buckets in a pinch. He can heat up whenever he feels like it. Michael Porter Jr. is an above 40% 3-point shooter, whereas if he gets it hot, he's hard to stop. And they just have a lot of guys that can spread the floor and get out and run it and finish in transition. So I think there's going to be too much for Miami, and that's why I got Denver winning in 6.
Okay. Miami needed a super.
That was beautiful to hear. Thank you for that. That was music to my ears.
It's the truth. And I'm gonna say this: I don't think Miami goes out like no punks. I'll say that Miami's gonna make every single game a dogfight, and I truly believe that, because that's what they've done. That's how they made it this far. That's literally how they made it to the finals. That team is very resilient. Eric Spoelstra is a mastermind at picking up on things and making the adjustments and having the right guys in at the right times and having those guys play to their strengths. Like a guy like Max Strus, good shooter, big body. He's not really mobile on the defensive end, but you can use his size in that zone. A guy like Haywood Highsmith, who I think came out of a D2 or D3 school, was really impressed me this series, and I could definitely see him having a lot of key moments like he's had this past playoff series so far. You remember the strip on Jason Tatum he had last game for the leak out dunk. They have a lot of guys that play to their strengths, and because of that, they're so well at playing as a unit, because they understand everybody's weaknesses and they understand what everybody does well, and they just play to their strengths. So Like I said, I don't think Miami goes out like any punks or anything. I don't think they go out here and get swept or nothing. I think they make it a series as much as they can. But again, I think Denver just has too much for them. I think Jokic is simply too much to handle.
Game 3, their hero comes back. You know, their superhero comes back. So we'll see what that.
And the thing with that, and I've seen that, and I was going to mention it too, but the thing is, I don't see that being the key factor because Tyler Hero was a shooter, and on top of that, he's a rhythm shooter. He's the guy that has to get into a rhythm and has to get into like being comfortable and get into nice spots to really get comfortable and be consistent throughout games. And he had a hand injury, and I just don't really see him being as effective because I don't think he's going to be as aggressive, especially driving to the paint and handling as much because he doesn't want to hurt that hand. And I think he gets in the way of the production of the other guys that we've seen step up so well, like Duncan Robinson and Max Strus and Caleb Martin. So I say you play him as like you bring him off the bench, you play him in spurts at first just to see like what he can do, what he can handle. You take it from there. But these other guys and their role players have just been so good and just have stepped up so much this postseason. I don't think you can just toss Harrell in there and throw them off their game or make things different for them. I think you just gotta keep nurturing what they've been doing and keep harping on what they've been doing because it's been working for them.
No, and I don't disagree. That was a great analysis, Kyrie. Great analysis. Chris, you have anything else you want to add on top of that?
I just got one thing to say.
Is that
I gotta give a big shout out to Caleb Martin, the deserving MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals.
absolutely?
As much as we love
He should have
Jimmy,
won that.
Absolutely.
even though we love Jimmy, it was Caleb Martin that saved the day.
Sure
He
did.
balled out, and like you said, Kyrie, Miami will not make it easy. And Denver, throughout this playoffs, has not played a team with the perimeter defense of Miami. But as you so beautifully just said, all the things you stated, I have full confidence now that defense will not be a problem for us. It starts tomorrow. It starts tomorrow.
Yeah,
4 more, baby.
Can I pull up one thing because with Caleb Martin, I was looking up his numbers earlier and it just jumped out to me. I mean, he shot 60% from the field, almost 50% from three, and 87% from the line.
Yes,
Like
he do.
you can't not get that guy the MVP trophy for that series. I mean, he was there on time. He was there defensively. He did everything he was supposed to do. He had a
Defensively, really
flawless
where
series.
he made his impact. And the offensive, we can talk about the offense, but the defense is really where he made his impact at.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely played his heart out. So shout out to Caleb Martin. You know, it was actually a story that J. Cole was the one that made the call that actually, you know, he even got him a shot. You know, he was working out. I guess he was working out with him.
I did hear that. Yeah, because he used to play in Charlotte.
Yeah, he called Caron Butler. Caron Butler made some calls, and man, that's crazy. His story is awesome. Kyrie and Chris, anything else before we end off this episode? Anything else you have?
That's it for me. This has been a great episode, fellas.
That's it.
It starts tomorrow.
It starts tomorrow. Chris, get ready, man. I know you're excited. I'm excited for it. It's on Channel 6, ABC too. So for anyone that doesn't have cable, don't worry about it. We'll all be able to watch it. So that concludes episode 111 of the Restricted Zone podcast. It was strictly basketball. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this as much as we enjoyed recording this episode. And please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and comment on the YouTube. We upload every week. This episode will be up the same day it was recorded. The audio will be up shortly later on this week. You can follow us on all streaming platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're there. And the best part is you don't got to pay a dime. It's all free. So just subscribe, stream. Like I said, leave a like, subscribe. It definitely helps us with the algorithm, gets us out there a lot more, and we'll be ready to keep pushing on some more episodes. So thanks a lot, guys. Get ready for the NBA Finals. It's ready. It's basketball season. Have a great day, guys.